Hi guys, Super Cameraman here. This is one of the latest leaked footage from episode 78, and by count, this is the 11th spoiler. Today we will try to reveal this new character named Pablo, as well as try to unravel all the hidden details that were hidden in this spoiler. In addition to that, we will also recall all the previous spoilers and speculate the most probable storyline. But if you already gave us a like, then we'll get started. In addition to the new spoiler, we also have new information from Dafuk, where it was revealed that the 78th episode is only 70% ready, despite the fact that last time Dafuk Boom said 80%. Perhaps something went wrong with the episode, or the decrease in the readiness of the episode was due to the length of the new episode. Most likely, the Dafuk Boom extended this episode, causing it to have to work harder. After all, episode 78 will be longer than 10 minutes. Also, the decrease in percentage can also be attributed to Dafuk Boom having computer problems. In general, the 78th episode, in my opinion, will be dedicated to speakermen, as a lot of emphasis was made on them. Most likely, we will finally see an improved speakerman, as he is currently the only Titan that has not been improved by the Alliance. Before we get to the details and analysis of this character, I suggest to remember the previous 10 spoilers to get the full picture. Here's the latest spoiler at the moment. Spoiler with Kleiner, as it seemed to me the most interesting of all. If anyone suddenly does not know, just in case I will clarify. Kleiner is the second scientist who was shown in the series. We first saw him in part 2 of episode 68 when the infiltration squad was retreating from the repair shop. He was only able to kill Big Cameraman in a blue shirt, after which we saw him a couple times in the first part of episode 72 and in episode 74, and he's improved a lot since then. For example, instead of claws, he now has tentacles like the original Skibidi the scientist, which he uses to move around. Also, he now has armor on the front of the toilet bowl that can partially protect him from enemy shots. A claw appears on top of the drain, roughly similar to the claw Skibidi the scientist had when he appeared in episodes 30 and 32. It will most likely be used to hold the small Astro toilets so that the Skibidi parasites can infect and control them, just as they have already done with the Alliance agents. Also visible to the right and left of the head are two devices that are most likely lasers or other weapons, and on the sides of the drain barrel are some bayonets that are most likely needed for close combat to stab enemies. To summarize, we can safely say that Kleiner has adopted the character of Skibidi the scientist, because 90% of the weapons are very similar. Most likely, Kleiner shows his loyalty to Skibidi the scientist by doing this, as he has taught him a lot. To Kleiner's right, another Skibidi toilet is seen looking at us and smiling. As such, he has no armament and is most likely a regular sidekick. To the left of Kleiner, we can see a laboratory and various equipment, and below him we can see one of the scientist's cameramen and another's toilet, who looks something like the toilet from the beginning of the first part of the game. Now let's move on to the next merged shot. In the next spoiler, we see the scientist's triple cameraman, as well as two armed cameramen flanked by him, while we watch them on behalf of the big cameraman. At first, I thought it was strange that the regular cameraman looked bigger than the scientist, but then I came to the conclusion that Dafuk decided to sort the cameramen by size in the same way as the toilet Skibidi, specifically into regular, medium, large, and giant. By the way, if you look closely, you'll notice that the scientist cameraman's arms have been replaced, as they're not covered by a shirt, or it's just such a design. The scene itself is most likely seen on behalf of Cameraman with Laser, who first appeared in the first part of episode 70, and he shows the bark because they managed to fight off someone, for example, a small squad of Astro toilets. All in all, there's not much more for me to say about this spoiler, so you and I move on. In the next spoiler, we see one of the survivors frying a steak in a pan. However, it doesn't have any relation to the series, as Dafuk wrote that this poster is some kind of shield poster that was most likely created to troll Steak, the YouTuber who got all these spoilers. In the next leaked footage, we are most likely shown Astro Mutant, as otherwise it's unclear to me how he managed to grab the man he's holding. Most likely, this person will either die or be captured as a hostage, but it's too hard to judge from the image alone, so you too can write your guesses in the comments. Finally, the last spoiler shows Speakerman, who is apparently very angry. We'll come back to him at the end of the analysis. So be sure to watch the video to the end so you don't miss anything important. All these spoilers are very important for the series because through them we can find interesting details, as well as hidden text. Unfortunately, I didn't find any hidden text on these spoilers, but there were a lot of details. For example, on this frame, in addition to the above mentioned, you could see an exact copy of the location from the 50th episode. And it's not strange, because the frame was made from the Cameraman base. And as we can see, in the 78th episode, the first-person frame will be from several cameramen, because here the frame is from a big cameraman, and here from a regular cameraman, because it can be seen by the height of the agent and the scientist. And you've probably already noticed that this shot is a continuation of this one, which means that the Skibidi scientist is on the cameraman base. Also, my theory is supported by this cameraman scientist here, who also works in the lab. As we can see, Kleiner has been given all the technology of the cameramen, so soon we will see a joint project of the three cameraman scientist and Kleiner. Also, all of this is backed up by this scene where Skibidi says that the cameraman base now belongs to them too. But you know what the weirdest thing about that image was? Yes. It showed a regular Astro toilet that eats humans. And I'm not even talking about its logo right now, which resembles a paw or a dog's footprint. It's hardly one of the Juggernaut's sons, since it's without the classic family mask. I thought, you know what was weird? The background. Yes, the background, because the background was the same color in the previous shots. I think that Astro toilet snuck into the cameraman base and ate a man. In fact, this may be true because some people are currently hiding on various bases, and in addition, in the additional scenes of Season 25, we clearly saw that the survivors have already settled on the cameraman base. I'm not talking about the alleged troll plum. Yes, it showed one of the survivors grilling a steak on a griddle, making a reference to a steak streamer, but still knowing the Boom, it can't be ruled out that this shot won't be in episode 78. But still, I don't recall such a location in Skibidi Toilet, and besides, this is the first time I've seen this character. If he looks like someone else, be sure to post it in the comments. Now let's talk about the last shot. Who didn't know? I'll tell you that in episode 78 will be the long-awaited return of Speakerman, as Boom himself told about it in an interview with Steak. The return of Speakerman means the return of the very agent who helped Lucky Cameraman rise, the return of Speakerman, and most importantly, the return of the improved Titan Speakerman. Most likely it is him in this shot, because the last time we saw him on the base, as we see he was even then ready to fight even in that condition. And Boom sent this spoiler without any reason, and just signed the spoiler as Two Obliterators. Who does not know, this name came from the game Warhammer, which appeared in 1983. In this game, there are different characters, including Obliterators. These are space troopers traitors, who are believed to have been infected with the so-called technovirus, which turned into bloodthirsty mutants, and they look like this in this game. From this text, we need only two words. These are space troopers and traitors. From here, we conclude that these Astro chose the side of G-Man, that is, betrayed their race. If this is true, then we can say that among the Astro toilets began, so to say, a civil war, and now G-Man and the Alliance's chances of survival have increased. Or perhaps it's a reference to the fact that there are already traitors between the Astro toilets. Perhaps these particular Astro toilets are among the first to decide with the Alliance. Assuming that this location is a continuation of Season 25, we can see what should happen to after the destruction of the Astro toilet. But unfortunately, this spoiler shows the camera toilet analog from episode 16, since the original spy was destroyed. It's no secret that Tafuk likes to repeat old storylines. Episode 78 will be no exception. Most likely in this episode, we will see the same scene as in episode 16. This could be realized even from the helmet on the head of the toilet cam. The thing is that this helmet belongs to the Astro toilets. It's most likely the helmet of a junior Juggernaut, but it's not certain. It is possible that in episode 78, we will see this cameraman spy infiltrating the trust of the Astro toilets. Maybe this time he will be destroyed as well, because Astro toilets are much smarter than Skibidi toilets. On this spoiler, we notice a lot of Astro toilets, specifically 8. It seems to me that this is the beginning of episode 78 because it's usually the dominance of the Astro toilets that starts the last episodes. Of course, there are quite a few Astro toilets, and I think this is just a fraction of the Astro toilets. Still, the Alliance will be able to eliminate them because they are regular Astro toilets, and you can see them up close in this spoiler. Now let's get to the next spoilers. We have some character in front of us. To be honest, I don't know who it is, and it's hardly a reference to some famous person because I tried to find a similar image on the internet, but alas, I couldn't find anything. But if you look more closely at this spoiler, behind you can see the very fake toilet we have already analyzed. Spoiler, we saw two strong agents, a big TV man, and a cameraman. The cameraman looks a lot like a cameraman named Fred. After all, he has identical weapons and looks like him, but unfortunately, it is not him, because Fred had a red shirt. In addition, Fred died in the full 77th episode, protecting TV man Titan from the attacks of Astro toilets. As for the big TV man, it's a very interesting character that we last saw in episode 77. Here we see a brand new character, and if you look closely, you can see his name. His name is Pablo. Fun fact, names on spoilers started to appear not long ago, namely from episode 77. That's where we first learned about Fred and the rest of the characters. On the spoiler, we see the same city from the previous shots, but this time everything is destroyed. This is most likely the work of, those Astro toilets from this spoiler. This is the first time we've seen this kind of speakerman, as the big speakerman always had an upright head. This character appeared as a replacement for this speakerman who died. In addition to the text with the character's name, we can also notice the text on the bottom left where it says, "Survived and escaped content farms." Most likely, this text has nothing to do with the plot of episode 78, but was some sort of hint from the Dafuk boom and a message.